Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
Why everyone is leaving Lithuania explained.
The largest land in Europe, now on the course of an alarming decline. Lithuania mostly gets bundled with the rest of its Baltic siblings, although it's
I
not...
don't know though about the title. I feel like people are actually coming back to Lithuania. I don't know how, because this is a year ago. I feel like this information might be like a decade old.
I'm going to see the comments after.
just a one-of-a-kind story, but a distinct genre in itself. Although one that is, unfortunately, moving closer to the fate of silent films than of comic book movies. The country suffered great human losses during the occupations of great powers in the 20th century. Yet, absurdly, those tragic figures are numerically dwarfed by the ones expecting the country due to joining a great alliance willingly. Fortunately, far less sinister in nature, yet still alarming. Yet due to its almost unbelievable history, outlandish sites and geographical placement, the explanation and exploration of Lithuania will be as rich with fun gems as there are lakes in it. Located on the shores of the Baltic Sea in the northeastern part of Europe, Lithuania has undergone a considerably downsizing since the days we opened with, and is now the 24th largest country on the continent, with 65,300 kilometers square of landmass, making it the 124th largest country in the world. Actually, almost identical to the size of Sri Lanka and one of their neighbors, Latvia. Lithuania gets the bragging rights of being both the biggest and the most populous Baltic state, though, beating Estonia and aforementioned Latvia. There are about 2.8 million people living here, making the country rank 35th in Europe and 144th in the world in terms of population. Bordering Latvia to the north, Belarus on the east and south, Poland to the south, and Russia's territory of Kaliningrad on southwest, for a total of 1,574 kilometers of borders, the longest of which is with Belarus at 680 kilometers. Lithuania also has a coastline of 262 kilometers and shares a maritime border with Sweden. Internally, the country is divided into 10 counties, the largest and most populous one being the one centered around the capital city of Vilnius, which is also the largest city in the country. The city got its name after the Vilnia River, which flows and connects with the big river of Neris that flows through the heart of the city. Vilnia, meaning ripple in Lithuanian, therefore makes sense in the name. The city is filled with around 550,000 people.
Never heard that. Vilnius is a ripple.
How do you say ripple in Lithuanian?
I don't know. I've never said that.
Ooh, the comments gonna be interesting then. If already
it might mean that I've never heard that.
Really?
I've never heard that word.
Like, for
before.
example, Florida is also in Spanish, like florid is flower.
I don't know. I don't even like even in English when I would use ripple. I just not the word I use. I don't.
The rippling effects.
Rippling effect.
And is located just 30 kilometers from the border with Belarus. And it's about twice the population size of the runner-up Kaunas, as it holds 21% of Lithuania's total population in its urban center alone. But Vilnius isn't just only the cultural and economical center of Lithuania, but also a geographical center of Europe, at least according to some.
Okay, this video says that.
As there are contestants for the honors,
I feel like they
and what you measure.
appease whoever video they're making. Let's see, y'all in the center.
I think you're right.
The Guinness Book of World Records does recognize the nearby village of Girja as the epicenter of the old continent, which is another.
Okay, that's enough.
Okay, now
that's a fact.
We need
that's
to.
a fact.
The others need to show a Guinness
that
record.
is a fact.
Because I heard
that.
so many other countries. We're in the center, y'all.
That's not an opinion. It's a fact.
Europe, if that wasn't clear. The second largest city is, as
But
we mentioned, Kaunas.
You know how in Italy, and I think I forgot the other country, neighboring country, their borders are changing because
Switzerland,
with Switzerland, because of the land is like sinking, so the land is sinking in, so the borders are shifting.
Some of it the rivers,
So maybe this is.
We still the center.
And has about 290,000 people, meaning that the two biggest cities in Lithuania amount to about 31% of the total populace. Although there are two more cities with populations higher than 100,000. Of these two, Klaipėda is the more notable one, as it is a port city and is located as a gate to one of the country's most noteworthy geographical features, the Lithuanian Sahara, or more commonly named the Curonian Spit. A 98 kilometers long, thin, and curved sand dune spit that separates the Curonian Lagoon from the Baltic Sea coast. Overall, Lithuania is a predominantly lowlands country, with the highest point being just 293.84 meters tall. The Aukštojas Hill holds this very shy height record of the nation. Although that is not quite true actually, considering that the Vilnius TV tower stands at 326 meters. So the highest point should go to Vilnius Televizijos bokštas. And you might say my pronunciation might have been a bit off so far, which is strange, considering I should have had a lot of time practicing Lithuanian, as it is a very old language. In fact, It's one of the oldest languages in the world today, and it's the oldest living Indo-European language of Europe. But moving back to things being tall, or well, the opposite, what Lithuania lacks in terms of mountains, it makes up in other recognizable reliefs such as already mentioned the Cronian Lagoon, which it shares with Russia's son studying abroad, Kaliningrad.
To this lagoon?
Yeah.
This mostly freshwater lagoon
I've been to most of the famous spots. There isn't that many. But yeah.
Its total size of almost 1.6 thousand kilometers square, but the Lithuanian part is only 381 kilometers square. Yet Lithuania has a better use for it, as Klaipėda is the only port. Besides being the former base of the Teutonic Knights, the lagoon was formed 3,000 years before.
Is that the photo?
As the winds created the Cronian Spit Dune, which split the two bodies of water. But according to Baltic myths, which we of course prefer, the Cronian Spit was formed by a giantess named Neringa to protect her home from the rage of Naglis, an evil dragon. With this inviting coast, Lithuania's climate is both maritime and continental, and the country as a whole.
What does that mean, maritime? Climate is maritime. What does that mean?
It comes from the sea. Rainy. I don't know the definition right now at the top, but that comes to mind is rainy, windy. Probably that's maritime. But so that's all cute what we're doing here. But the video is why everyone is leaving Lithuania. We're halfway through the video almost, and we haven't even mentioned people leaving.
They're not.
It's located in a cool temperature zone, meaning they have moderately warm summers and moderately cold winters. The average temperature in the hottest month of July sits at only 17 degrees Celsius, while in the winter it's around -5 degrees Celsius. But the moderate weather didn't stop to around
17 is low. I don't even know, 65.
That's cold.
That's cold.
In the summer?
Yeah, that's cold. I don't know if I believe
that's
that.
Summer?
65? That's low. 17 in the summer? That doesn't make any sense. That's Alaska temperature in the summer. I don't believe that.
I thought
it's a little lower. I think it's hotter than that. I don't believe that. I don't know.
4 million foreign tourists from spending a night in the country in 2021, most of them from their close neighbors Poland and Latvia. So we stated that on the west side of Lithuania we have a lot of water, right? But the fact is that the east side also has its fair share of water, in the form of lakes. There are nearly 3,000 lakes larger than 1 hectare across the territory overall, supplemented by 1,600 ponds. Land reclamation and swamp drainage has been of major importance to the Lithuanians since 1991. And if they need help with this drainage, we know some guys. Some of these lakes also make for parts of the natural borders with Belarus. Something which can't be said for the bulge around the town of Divanskis that is connected to the mainland with a passage wide of less than 3 kilometers. Other lakes are used even better, like the Gal, which boasts one of the most memorable sites in Lithuania, Trakai Island Castle. Built amidst the glory days of Lithuania in the 15th century, today is an unmatched picture of a fantasy saga idyllic, only to be found in video games. Yet, it is a rare part of Lithuania that looks like a fairy tale you want to tell your smallest children, because the lush forests that cover a third of the country root in a far different setting.
Does anyone live there?
Wait, in the forest?
No, in the
castle?
Yeah.
No, it's for tourists. It's a tourist destination.
So it's like a, what do you call it, like a museum?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
They don't host events, nothing in there?
Honestly, it's not as big as you think. I remember it's pretty small actually.
Really?
It's not that big now. The ones we see in Italy, the one in France, the huge ass castle, basically that's like a whole city. Now, both castles in Lithuania, they're kind of small. They're not that big.
Before, did it host like a king, queen in it, or who was living in there?
I would think so. Yeah, historically, that's what castles are for. Like the king.
But you don't know for this one.
Off the top of my head, I don't know which king lived there. And even if I did know, I can honestly tell you whatever name, and you would just say, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So why are you asking this question?
I'm just interested. Maybe it's named after him. I don't know.
It's not named after no king.
Amplified by the knowledge of history.
Well, actually, we only have one king, Mindaugas.
Yeah. So where do he live?
The Druids were started in the 3rd millennium BC, with the Baltic tribes surviving as the weather became more hospitable. Yet this area is perhaps more shrouded in secrecy than any other in Europe, mostly because the Balts were too far even for the grasp of the Roman Empire, although trade happened between the cultures as a part of the Amber Road. So, hidden by their unforgiving marches, the Balts resisted the influence of the Western culture, simply going by with paying tributes to Vikings or Kievan Rus to avoid raids. In the 13th century AD, the history of Lithuania as we know it today can be discussed, as the German Teutonic Order moved east and conquered the areas of Estonia and Latvia, making the Lithuanian tribes unite. The only crowned king of Lithuania ever, Mindaugas, ruled the land from the year 1236 to 1263. And even though he was baptized as a Roman Catholic at the time of his coronation on 6th of July 1253, which is now the official state day in Lithuania, his country remained majority pagan past his Rhine assassination.
How was that?
I thought it was the 5th.
No, it's the 6th.
6th? Oh.
It's now the official state day in Lithuania. His country remained majority pagan past his Rhine assassination. The country had no other kings, but had the equivalent, Grand Dukes. And under them, the power of Lithuania.
Yeah, I think the Grand Dukes lived in the castles. I'm not sure though, but the Grand Dukes there are more of them, so.
How about only one king and the rest dukes? No one could be king?
King, if I'm not, okay, this was a long time ago, but if I'm remembering correctly, the king could only achieve king status if he was Christian. He had to get baptized. He was the only, I think he was the only one who got baptized. I think the dukes, they said, fuck y'all shit, we ain't getting baptized. I think that's what happened, I don't know. But let's see, maybe he'll go into it. That's how I recall it, but I could be wrong, it was a long time ago.
Jogaila accepted the offer of the Polish to become their king, married their monarch, and converted his duchy to Christianity in 1386. To put it in a different perspective, this was only 106 years before the continent of America was discovered by Europeans, and in a way, the Baltics were the final frontier of the European continent. Battling formidable foes like the Golden Horde, Teutonic Knights, and the Muscovites, Lithuania reached its peak under Vytautas the Great in the 14th century, becoming the largest country in Europe. Yet, a new threat arose in the east, the Muscovites grew stronger. Battling the Russians, forced Lithuanians closer to the Poles, and the two entities formed one, a Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in 1569. The Federation was one of the largest and most populous countries in Europe in the 16th and 17th centuries. They enjoyed a golden age and resisted the Muscovites. Kings of Poland and Grand Dukes of Lithuania were elected by the nobility. Yet, as many did after, the Commonwealth made a mistake of taking the fight to Russia and losing Lithuanian territories. The Swedes descended onto the Baltics in the Northern Wars, and in wars against the two powers, aided by the plague and famine, the Commonwealth lost 40% of its populace, resulting in the partition of the country by Russia, Prussia, and Austria. After a brief time as a protectorate state of Russia, Lithuania ceased to exist in 1795. Taken by the Germans in the First World War, Lithuania regained its independence in 1918. For Lithuania, it became clear that World War I wasn't the war to end all wars, as they immediately battled the Soviets, the Vermontins, and the Poles, who took Vilnius.
Honestly, that's a little cute history lesson, but like, the video is called Why Everyone is Leaving Lithuania. We are 9 minutes out of 11 in the video, and we have not even touched on the subject.
Two, the Lithuanians proclaimed neutrality, but that wasn't of interest to the Soviets, and then the Germans. And as the Third Reich took over, the extermination of 250,000 Jews living in Lithuania unraveled. And when the war finally ended, Lithuania fell under the USSR, had 5% of the population deported, and stayed in it until its demise in 1990. Since then, Lithuania joined the European Union and NATO in 2004, and has been using euros since 2015. After briefly returning to their own currency, litas, in the post-Soviet era. Recently, it has used its position as a roadblock to Kaliningrad as the bargain ship for NATO's interest, which is severely endangering the country, and not only because most of Lithuania's imports came from Russia in 2019. Do you recall the declining population we mentioned at the very start of this video? Well, it turns out it's a sinister one, as it is the country with the second fastest population decline projection, close to Bulgaria. It's estimated that the populace of Lithuania will shrink by 22.1% over the next 30 years, to just 2.1 million people, mostly due to mass migration. But the very interesting topic of why a country's population tends to decline when it's joining the European Union is a topic that might require its own video. Or perhaps...
Isn't that what this video is about?
That's interesting.
Well, like, but literally the title is Why Everyone is Leaving, and he's saying, oh, that might require its own video. Like, what the fuck are you talking?
That's an interesting point he makes.
What is the point?
That when a country joins the European Union, then the people living within that country can leave to another
there's no
union.
borders, right? You can travel freely, that is true, but still, like...
But that's not good for the country in itself?
Oh, this comes with a lot of benefits. No, that outweighs...
you think so? Okay.
Honestly, you want more people? Get people to make kids.
Yeah, I think it's gonna make the government get creative.
Yeah, like, you gotta make kids.
Incentivize
like,
the people.
Yeah, if people not reproduce, like, how are you gonna get population? Come on. Either that or allow immigration, take people in from other countries. There's two ways.
If Lithuania allowed 2 passports?
No.
If they allow that, maybe they can encourage people to come there too.
Well, they need to vote on it and get a decision right.
It has nothing to do with that. And simply because people are running scared from sites like the Hill of Crosses and the Hill of Witches. Two pretty
why is that?
That might require its own video. Or perhaps the declining population has nothing to do with that. And simply because people are running scared from sites like the Hill of Crosses and the Hill of Witches. Two pretty scary places you find in Lithuania, which are really on brand with the persistent pagan influences.
I'm sure that was a joke, because ain't nobody scared of those places.
And I've already mentioned that Lithuania's hides the pride.
The night is a little spooky.
No, it's not. There's two historic sites. It's the one with the witches, it's pagan, historic, just kind of history, and the crosses is also historic, Hill of Crosses.
Yet that can't be said of their men, as the country is primarily known for its basketball players. Now, who is your favorite player from Lithuania? Tell me in the comments below in 3, 2, 1, now. While there are not many non-hooping Lithuanians known worldwide, the number of Americans with at least partial Lithuanian roots is amazing. Jason Sudeikis, Rose Namajunas, Robert Zemeckis, John C. Reilly, and truly many others. Now, hopefully we haven't scared you too much of Lithuania with its eeriness, as this country really should be explored.
I want to see the comments.
I mean, bro, you could have just called the video Lithuania Explained. It would have been cool, interesting to watch, but I really thought...
it though.
I thought it was going to address a topic that didn't mention for 20 seconds. Like, come on now, really?
I want to see what the Lithuanians
I have a simple life and had the pleasure to visit.
So, visitors.
Like,
I need Lithuanian.
Nobody's talking about the clickbait title? Okay.
As Lithuania.
Yeah, the average temperature does not reflect our midsummer temperature are 24. Yeah, it's no 17. 17 is like, maybe at night. Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know. People are leaving. Honestly, how I hear, people are coming back. Actually, the conditions are why people may have left like 2 decades ago, a decade ago. The conditions have significantly improved. There's a lot of growth in the country, so I feel like people kind of coming back. If the numbers don't reflect that, maybe they're not coming back at a fast enough pace. So, I don't know. But the biggest problem is people don't reproduce. That's the biggest problem. People don't have kids. Why that is? Make a poll and ask the people. I don't know. Maybe the benefit, maybe, money. That could be an issue. People don't want kids. That's a problem. How to solve that? I don't know. How to force people to have kids. That I don't know. I don't know if we have the right to force people to have kids either. That's another.
You give a family incentives.
No, yeah, but if people don't care about incentive, they just don't, like if women don't want to go through the pain and whatever comes with that, if they want a commitment for 18 years or possibly more, what can you do about that? You can't really force people, so I don't know.
Interesting video. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, share as much kindness as possible.